The huge crystal room was filled with angry voices. Admiral Kim Dae-ho stood at the human speaking area, and his old face showed nothing. Even though the alien sounds around him got louder and more angry. He had seen this day coming for months, but it still hurt to watch it happen. The Galactic Council meeting room was bigger than most human cities. 47 different alien species had sent their best people to this meeting. The ceiling was so high that some of the flying aliens could circle around up there while they talked. The walls were made of some kind of crystal that changed colors when different aliens spoke. Kim looked around the room at all the different life forms. The tall, thin Nexari looked like living glass. Their bodies caught the light and threw it back in pretty patterns, but their voices were cold and mean. The ethereals floated in the air like giant jellyfish. Their see-through bodies glowed with soft light, but today that light was angry red. The Corvin sat in their heavy chairs looking like big furry bears with too many arms. For 300 years humans had been the ones who fixed problems when things went wrong. When the Vorthic Empire tried to make slaves of whole planets, it was human soldiers who stopped them. When the Great Sickness killed millions in Sector 7, human doctors found the cure. When different species started fighting over trade routes, human peacemakers brought them together. But now here they were being called too violent, too dangerous, too unpredictable. The same aliens who had begged for human help were now saying humans were the problem. Ambassador Park Soo-jin sat in the watching area and listened to species after species say bad things about humans. She felt sick to her stomach. The Nexari speaker stood up first. His crystal body rang like a bell when he moved. "We have watched humans for 3 centuries, he said. His voice sounded like breaking glass. They solve problems with violence. They shoot first and ask questions later. They cannot be trusted with important decisions." The ethereal representative floated down from the ceiling. Her glowing body pulsed with each word. "Humans are driven by emotions," she said. "They make choices based on feelings, not wisdom. They are too young as a species to understand the deeper meanings of peace." Even the Corvan, who humans had saved from dying out completely 50 years ago, now stood up to speak against them. Ambassador Veltar spoke through his translator box. "Humans interfere too much in our business," he said. "They think they know better than species who have lived for thousands of years. They do not respect our ways." Kim watched all this happen and felt very tired. He had spent his whole life serving the galaxy, fighting wars for people who did not want to fight, protecting planets that were not his own, losing human friends and family members for species who barely said thank you, and now they were throwing humans out of the leadership roles they had earned with blood and sacrifice. Dr. Lee Hyun-woo, the human science representative, walked over to Kim. "What do we do now?" he asked quietly. His voice was full of hurt and anger. Kim looked around the room one more time. He saw the smug looks on some alien faces. Others looked uncomfortable but stayed quiet. The Shithari were the only ones who did not vote against humans. Their big bug eyes seemed sad, but they said nothing. The final vote was called. Speaker after speaker cast their vote against humanity. 46 species voted to make humans junior members of the council with no real power. Only the Shithari refused to vote at all. The sound of each vote felt like a hammer hitting Kim in the chest. When it was over, the room got very quiet. The alien representatives started talking among themselves in their own languages. Some sounded happy, others seemed worried, but none of them looked at the human. Kim slowly gathered his papers and files. He had been preparing for this moment, but it still felt unreal. After 3 centuries of service, this was how it ended, not with thanks or honor, but with rejection and insults. Park Soo-jin came down from the watching area. Her face was white with anger and hurt. "Admiral, what do we do now?" she asked. Kim looked at her and then at Dr. Lee and the other human representatives in the room. They all looked like they had been punched in the stomach. These were good people who had spent their lives trying to help others, and this was their reward. "We do exactly what they want," Kim said finally. His voice was quiet, but everyone could hear him clearly. "We walk away." The words hung in the air like a death sentence. The other humans looked at each other with wide eyes. They had all been thinking the same thing, but hearing it said out loud made it real. "But Sir," Dr. Lee started to say. "No," Kim interrupted firmly. "They voted. They made their choice. They think the galaxy will be better without human interference, so we will give them exactly what they asked for." Kim stood up and walked toward the door. The other humans followed him. Their footsteps echoed in the big crystal room. All around them, alien voices were getting louder as they realized what was happening. "Wait," called out the Nexari speaker. "Where are you going? We need to discuss the transition period." Kim stopped and turned around. "The transition period," he repeated. "You voted us out. There is nothing to discuss. You wanted us gone, so we are leaving. But surely you do not mean completely," the ethereal said, floating closer. "We still need human ships to patrol the trade routes. We still need human doctors for the medical stations. We still need human engineers for the communication systems." Kim smiled, but it was not a happy smile. "You should have thought of that before you voted," he said. "You cannot have it both ways. You cannot call us too dangerous to lead, but still expect us to do all the dangerous work." The room erupted in noise. Aliens were arguing with each other and trying to talk to the humans all at once, but Kim just walked out the door. The other humans followed him outside the council building. Kim stopped and looked up at the alien sky. 3 suns hung in the purple atmosphere, casting weird shadows everywhere around them. The alien city buzzed with activity. Strange vehicles flew through the air. Alien citizens of dozens of species walked or crawled or floated along the streets. This had been the center of galactic civilization for 1,000 years, the place where all the important decisions were made, the place where peace was kept and problems were solved, and humans had been a big part of that for 3 centuries. Not anymore. Kim turned to his team. "We have a lot of work to do," he said. "Every human military unit needs to be recalled. Every human scientist needs to pack up and leave. Every human diplomat needs to close their embassy. Every human trader needs to end their contracts." But Admiral Park said, "What about all the projects we are working on? What about the peace treaties we are negotiating? What about the research we are doing?" Kim looked at her with sad but determined eyes. "That is not our problem anymore," he said. "We are junior members now. We do not have the authority to make important decisions. Remember." The trip back to the human embassy was quiet. The streets were full of aliens, but they all seemed to be avoiding looking at the humans. Word was already spreading about what had happened in the council at the embassy. Kim sent out the orders that would change everything. Human fleet commanders across the galaxy received the same message: return to human space immediately. Cease all operations in alien territory. Transfer no technology or information to alien forces. Human scientists got similar orders. Pack up all research and all joint projects. Take all data and equipment back to human space. Share nothing with alien colleagues. Human diplomats were told to close their embassies and end all negotiations. Human traders were ordered to cancel all contracts and return to human space. The galaxy had asked humans to step back, so humans would step back completely. Kim sat in his office and looked out the window at the alien city. He wondered how long it would take for them to realize what they had done, how long before they understood that humans had not just been soldiers and scientists and diplomats. Humans had been the glue that held everything together. They had been the ones who made sure everyone played nice. They had been the ones who stepped in when things went wrong. They had been the ones who did the jobs that no one else wanted to do. Now they were going to find out what the galaxy looked like without humans. Kim picked up his personal communicator and sent a message to Earth. "Tell the president that the vote went as expected." He typed, "We are coming home, all of us." The response came back quickly. Message received, welcome home. Admiral Kim smiled for the first time that day. It was good to be welcome somewhere. Captain Han Min-soo was sleeping when the urgent message came through on his ship. The destroyer Han Yang had been patrolling the border between Nexari and Vorthak space for 8 years. His crew knew this area better than anyone. They had stopped dozens of small fights from becoming big wars. The message was short and clear: return to human space immediately. Cease all operations. Transfer no authority to alien forces. By order of Admiral Kim Dae-ho. Han sat up in his bed and read the message 3 times. He had been expecting this ever since he heard about the council vote, but seeing it in writing made it real. His ship and crew were going home. Lieutenant Choi Nara knocked on his door. "Captain, the Nexari Defense Force is asking why we are leaving," she said through the door. "They sound very confused." Han got dressed quickly and went to the bridge. His crew was already at their stations, looking worried and confused. The main screen showed 3 Nexari ships following them at a distance. "Tell them to ask the Galactic Council." Han said, "We are no longer authorized to operate in their space." But Sir Nara said, "What about the patrol schedule? What about the early warning systems? What about the trade route protection?" Han looked at his young officer. She had spent her whole career working with aliens, helping them solve problems. keeping peace between species that hated each other now, all that work was ending that. Is not our job anymore, he said firmly. We are junior members. Now we do not have the authority to make those decisions. The Hanyang turned away from the border and started the long journey back to human space. Behind them, the Nexari. Ships followed for a while, then gave up and went back to their own territory. Meanwhile, on the medical station orbiting Kepler 442b, Dr. Yoon Soo-young was dealing with her own crisis. The station was the most advanced medical facility in the galaxy. Human doctors had been working there for 50 years, treating diseases that affected dozens of different alien species. The research labs contained 3 centuries of human medical knowledge, cures for diseases that had killed millions, information about alien biology that no other species had been able to figure out, treatment methods that worked on life forms so different from humans they might as well be from another universe. Dr. Kang Ji-hoon, her assistant, came running into her office. Doctor, the ethereal medical team is here. They want to buy our database, she said. They are offering a lot of money. Soo-young looked out the window at the ethereal ship. It was beautiful, like a giant glowing jellyfish floating in space. But she felt no warmth toward it anymore. Tell them no, she said. The Galactic Council has new rules. Junior members cannot share advanced technology with senior members without special permission. But Dr. Ji-hoon said we have been working with them for decades. They helped us understand ethereal biology. We helped them understand human medicine. This will hurt both species. Soo-young felt sad, but she did not change her mind. They voted to make us junior members, she said. They cannot have it both ways. They cannot call us too dangerous to lead, but still expect us to share everything we know. The packing took 3 days. Everything had to be documented and secured. The alien patients were transferred to other facilities. Though those facilities were not as good as the human station, the research data was encrypted and loaded onto human ships. The equipment was dismantled and packed away. On the last day, Veltar, the Corvette ambassador, came to the station. He looked nervous and upset. This seems very extreme, he said through his translator. Surely we can work something out. Soo-young looked at him with tired eyes. She remembered when the Corvan were dying from a genetic disease. Human scientists had worked for 5 years to find a cure. They had saved his entire species, and now he had voted to kick humans out of the leadership. We worked something out 300 years ago, she said. We helped you, we protected you, we saved you, and in return you voted us out. The arrangement is over, but what about the new plague in the Outer Rim? Veltar asked. What about the research on Vorthek biological weapons? What about the medical emergency protocol? Soo-young walked toward her ship without looking back. Those are not our problems anymore, she said. Us, the senior members of the council, to handle it all across the galaxy. The same thing was happening. Human military units were packing up and leaving. Human scientists were shutting down their research stations. Human diplomats were closing their embassies. Human traders were ending their contracts. Ambassador Park Soo-jin was among the last to leave the council homeworld. She had spent 15 years there working with alien diplomats, trying to build understanding between species that had nothing in common. Her office was full of awards and thank you letters from alien governments. Now she was putting everything in boxes. Her assistant deputy minister Lee Ru-won came in with a sad expression on his face. The Nexari want to know if we can leave some of our early warning satellites operational, she said. They are worried about Vorthek raids. Park did not look up from her packing. Tell them to build their own satellites, she said. We are not authorized to operate military equipment in their space anymore. What about the translation protocols? Lee asked. What about the cultural exchange programs? What about the peace treaties we have been negotiating? Park finally looked up. Those peace treaties were being negotiated by the senior members of the council, she said. We were just junior assistants. Remember, we do not have the authority to make binding agreements. Lee looked like she was about to cry. But we have been working on the Zelani Vorthek peace talks for 2 years, she said. We are so close to a breakthrough. Park felt her heart break a little. The Zelani were good people. They had always treated humans with respect, but even they had voted to reduce human authority in the council. The Galactic Council made its decision. Park said. We are just following their rules. The last human transport ship left the council homeworld on a gray morning. The alien city looked the same as always, but something felt different. The humans who had been part of the daily life there for 3 centuries were gone. On the ship, Park looked out the window at the alien skyline. She thought about all the work they had done, all the problems they had solved, all the lives they had saved, all the peace they had kept. And she thought about how quickly it had all been thrown away. Captain Han Min-soo was already back in human space when he got the news about the first crisis. The Vorthak Empire had attacked the Outer Rim while everyone was distracted by the human withdrawal. Without human early warning systems, no one saw it coming. The Galactic Council tried to send a joint fleet to help, but everything went wrong. The different alien species could not work together. The Nexari ships interfered with ethereal navigation. The Korvan could not talk to the Rockery. The Ethereals wanted to be in charge because they thought they were more evolved. The Nexari wanted to lead because they had better technology. While they argued, the Vorthak conquered 3 more systems. Han watched the news reports from his quarters on the human naval base. The aliens were learning what humans had known for centuries. Fighting a war required more than just ships and weapons. It required coordination, communication, trust, leadership, things the Galactic Council had just voted to reject. His door chimed and Nara came in. Captain, she said, we are getting messages from alien fleet commanders. They want to know if we can provide tactical support. Han smiled, but it was not a happy smile. Tell them to ask the Galactic Council for permission. She said, we are not authorized to provide military support to senior members, but Sir Nara said, people are dying. Han looked at his young officer with sad eyes. Yes, they are, he said, but that is not our fault. We offered to help for 3 centuries. We bled for them. We died for them. We saved them over and over again, and they voted U.S. out. The first month after the withdrawal was chaos. Human space became very busy as ships and people and equipment came home from all over the galaxy. The military bases were crowded, the research stations were overflowing, the diplomatic corps had nothing to do, but slowly things settled down. Humans started focusing on their own problems for the first time in centuries. New research projects began, projects that would help humans instead of aliens. New ships were designed, ships that would protect human space instead of alien territory. New colonies were planned, colonies that would be purely human. President Lim Hae-young addressed the nation from Seoul. The galaxy has made its choice, she said. They do not want our help. They do not want our leadership. They do not want our interference. So we will give them exactly what they asked for. She paused and looked directly into the camera. For 3 centuries we have sacrificed for people who did not appreciate us. We have given our lives for people who did not respect us. We have solved problems for people who blamed us for causing them. That ends now. The applause was thunderous. Humans across the galaxy cheered. People who had spent their lives being criticized and underappreciated finally felt free. The galaxy wanted them gone, so they were gone. And for the first time in 3 centuries, humanity was going to focus on humanity. 3 months after the humans left, the Outer Rim exploded into war. The Vorthak Empire had been waiting for this moment for decades. They knew the humans were the only thing stopping them from taking whatever they wanted. The attack came at dawn. On 7 different worlds, the Zilani colonies never saw it coming without human early warning satellites and human intelligence networks. The Vorthak fleet appeared out of nowhere like ghosts in the dark. They struck fast and hard. General Thakmor led the Vorthak invasion fleet from his flagship. He was old enough to remember the last time they had tried to expand. The humans had stopped them. Then human ships had appeared within hours. Human soldiers had fought like demons. Human diplomats had turned the whole galaxy against the Vorthak, but now the humans were gone. The Zilani sent desperate messages to the Galactic Council begging for help. Their worlds were burning. Their people were dying. Their ships were no match for the Vorthak war machine. The council met in emergency session. Speaker after speaker demanded action. The Nexari wanted to send their crystal ships. The Ethereals wanted to negotiate. The Korvan wanted to form a committee to study the problem, but when they tried to work together, everything fell apart. The Nexari ships used energy weapons that messed up ethereal navigation systems. The Ethereals could not talk to the Rockery because they spoke in colors instead of sounds. The Korvan were too slow to keep up with the fast Nexari ships. What should have taken hours took days. What should have been a quick response turned into a disaster. On Earth, President Lim Hae-young watched the news reports with mixed feelings. She felt sad for the Zilani people. But she also felt a grim satisfaction the galaxy was learning what it was like without human help. How many Zilani colonies have fallen? She asked her aide. 7 so far, Madame President replied. Secretary of State Oh Sang-min, the joint alien fleet, is still arguing about who should be in command. The Ethereals think they should lead because they are more spiritually advanced. The Nexari want to lead because they have better technology. The Corvin think they should lead because they are older. Meanwhile, in the Andromeda Medical Center on New Seoul, Dr. Kim Hajin was treating wounded refugees. The injured Zilani had been brought to human space because their own hospitals could not help them. We cannot turn them away, she told her colleague Dr. Park. Dong Hyen, these people are hurt and afraid, but we also cannot become a hospital for the whole galaxy. We do not have unlimited resources. The Zilani refugees were grateful, but confused. Why are you helping us? Asked one injured soldier when his own people voted against humans in the council. Kim looked at the young Zilani. He was barely more than a child. His leg was badly burned by Vorthek energy weapons. Because helping people is what we do, she said, but we do it on our terms now. The situation got worse when the Vorthek announced they were keeping the conquered worlds as liberation zones. They claimed the Zilani had asked for Vorthek protection. Without human observers to check what was really happening, the Galactic Council had no way to know if this was true. On Mars, General Seo Kyung-ho was getting calls from alien military commanders every day. They want our help, he reported to the Defense Council, but only as advisors and consultants. They still will not admit they need us as equals. The breaking point came when the Ethereals tried to negotiate with the Vorthek. The Ethereals thought they could use their spiritual wisdom to bring peace. They did not understand Vorthek culture at all. The ethereal ambassador floated into the Vorthek war room, glowing with peaceful light. She spoke about harmony and understanding and the greater good of all species. The Vorthek general listened for about 5 minutes. Then he laughed. You glow like a target, he said. Your weakness disgusts us. You offer us nothing but words. We take what we want with strength. The ethereal was shocked. She had never been spoken to like that before. In her species, insults were impossible because everyone was connected spiritually. She did not know how to respond. The Vorthek general took her confusion as a sign of surrender. He announced that the Ethereals had agreed to Vorthek expansion. The Ethereals tried to deny this, but the damage was done. 3 more species declared war on the Ethereals, thinking they had betrayed everyone. The Nexari stopped talking to the Ethereals. The Corvin demanded the Ethereals leave the council. What had started as a simple rescue mission turned into a 3-way war. Ambassador Park Soo-jin, now serving as Earth Foreign Minister, got a secret message from the Chitauri. The bug-like aliens had been the only ones who did not vote against humans. The message was encoded, but clear. The situation is getting worse very fast. Many species are starting to realize they made a mistake, but they are too proud to admit it. Park read the message 3 times. The Chitauri were good people. They had always been honest with humans, but even they could not fix this mess. She sent back a simple reply. We appreciate the information, but this is not our problem anymore. On the human colony of New Bisan Fleet, Admiral Jang Woo-jin was watching the tactical displays. The galaxy was lighting up with conflict markers. 17 different wars had started in the past month. Commander Kim Sora, his intelligence officer, brought him the latest reports. Ma'am, the Shadari Collective is raiding mining operations in Sector 5. The Neutron Lords are claiming 3 entire star systems. The Plasma Kingdoms are fighting each other over trade routes. Jang studied the reports. It was like watching a dam break. The humans had been holding back centuries of old anger and rivalry between species. Now that the humans were gone, everyone was settling old scores. The worst part was the communication breakdown. The galactic network was failing without human technicians to maintain it. Entire sectors were cut off from each other. Nobody knew what was happening beyond their own local space. Dr. Yoon Soo-young, back on Earth, got a desperate message from the Ethereal Medical Collective. A new plague had appeared in the Outer Rim. They could not identify it without access to human medical databases. The message was formal and polite, but it came with the same old restrictions. Humans could only help as junior consultants. The Ethereals would make all the final decisions. Soo-young showed the message to her research team. They want us to solve their problem, she said, but they still will not treat us as equals. They expect us to be grateful For the chance to help them, her team looked at the data about the plague. It was clearly based on Vorthic biological weapons, something the humans had been warning about for years. We could solve this in a few days, said Dr. Kang Ji-hoon. We have the knowledge, we have the experience, we have the equipment, but we will not, said Su-young firmly. They made their choice. Now they get to live with it. The economic collapse was just as bad. Human merchants had been the backbone of galactic trade. They moved goods between species who could not or would not deal with each other directly. Without human traders, the supply chains fell apart. The Corvan could not get the rare minerals they needed for their technology. The Nexari faced food shortages because their crystal biology needed special nutrients that only came from human agricultural worlds. The ethereals could not get the meditation crystals they needed for their spiritual practices. The Rockery could not trade their metals for the organic compounds they required. Species that had been wealthy for centuries suddenly found themselves struggling to get basic supplies. President Lim faced pressure from some human politicians to help. They argued that humans should be selective, help friends and ignore enemies, but the president knew better. Once you start helping, she said, you become responsible for everything that goes wrong. We tried that for 3 centuries. Look where it got us. The Nexari ambassador arrived at Earth with a formal offer. The Galactic Council was willing to give humanity associate membership with limited participation privileges in exchange for military and medical aid. The president's response was quick and final. Tell the council we appreciate their generous offer, but we must respectfully decline. We have learned that our involvement causes problems for everyone. The ambassador looked confused. But surely you do not mean to abandon the galaxy completely? The president smiled coldly. We are not abandoning anything. The galaxy abandoned us. Remember, you voted us out. Now you want us back, but only on your terms. Sorry, but we are not interested. As the ambassador left empty-handed, the president turned to her advisors. The galaxy wanted us gone, she said. Now they are learning what that really means. In the Titan research facilities, human scientists were making incredible discoveries without alien interference. New propulsion systems that could cross the galaxy in days, advanced AI that could solve problems no organic mind could handle, revolutionary medical treatments that could extend human life by centuries without needing to share their research with aliens who contributed little but demanded much. Humanity was advancing faster than ever before. The galaxy was in chaos, but human space was thriving, and that was exactly what everyone had asked for. 6 months after the humans left, the galaxy was falling apart. The Vorthic Empire now controlled 12 star systems and showed no signs of stopping. Their success had inspired other aggressive species to try their own conquests. The Shadari Collective launched raids against peaceful mining worlds. The Neutron Lords claimed entire sectors as their ancient homelands. The Plasma Kingdoms fought brutal wars over trade routes that no longer existed on New Bisan Fleet. Admiral Zhang Wujin watched the tactical displays with growing concern. The galaxy map looked like a disease-spreading. Red zones marked conquered territory. Yellow zones showed active fighting. Green zones were shrinking. Every day Commander Kim So-ra brought him the latest intelligence reports. Ma'am, we are detecting military buildups in 17 different sectors, she said. It's like the whole galaxy has decided to go to war at once. The communication network was making everything worse. Without human technicians, the quantum relay stations were failing one by one. Entire sectors were cut off from each other, unable to coordinate any kind of response. Species that had been allies for centuries could not even talk to each other. The Nexari could not warn the ethereals about Vorthak movements. The Corvan could not ask the Rockery for help. The isolation was breeding fear and paranoia. Aryun Su-young received another desperate message from the ethereal medical collective. The plague in the Outer Rim was spreading faster than anyone had expected. 23 worlds were now infected, and the death toll was climbing. The message was longer, this time more pleading. The ethereals offered to share their meditation techniques in exchange for human medical help. They promised to give humans full credit for any cure they developed, but the restrictions were still there. Humans could only work as junior partners. The ethereals would make all final decisions about treatment and distribution. Su-young called a meeting of her research team. The plague is based on Vorthic biological weapons, she explained. We could probably cure it in a week, but they want us to work under their supervision and follow their rules. Dr. Kang Ji-hoon looked at the data. is going to kill millions of people. He said, we have the knowledge to stop ID. No, Su Young replied. But we also have the knowledge to cure cancer, and we are not sharing that either. They want us to be grateful for the chance to help them solve problems they created. By ignoring our warnings, the economic situation was getting desperate. The galactic trade network had collapsed completely. Species that had been rich for centuries were struggling to get basic supplies. The Kovan faced starvation because their crystal biology required specific nutrients that only came from human agricultural worlds. The Nexari could not get the rare metals they needed for their technology. The ethereals were running out of the meditation crystals that kept their society functioning private. Alien merchants tried to enter human space to trade, but human customs officials turned them away. The Galactic Council had made its rules clear. Junior members could not engage in major trade agreements without permission from senior members. Some alien species tried to get around this by offering huge payments for basic supplies, but human traders had been ordered to refuse all offers. We are not a charity, President Lim announced at a press conference. The galaxy decided they did not need human help. They can solve their own problems. The president faced growing pressure from both inside and outside human space. Some human politicians wanted to help selected alien species who had been friendly to humans. Others wanted complete isolation. With no contact at all, the decision came to a head when the Nexari ambassador arrived with a formal proposal. The Galactic Council was willing to offer humanity associate membership with limited participation privileges in exchange for resumed military and medical assistance. The offer was presented as a generous compromise. Humans would get a voice in galactic affairs, but the senior members would make all final decisions. Humans could provide assistance, but only under alien supervision. President Lim read the proposal carefully, then looked up at the Nexari ambassador with cold eyes. Tell the council that humanity appreciates their generous offer, but we must respectfully decline. The ambassador looked shocked. But surely you cannot mean to let the galaxy burn. The president smiled, but there was no warmth in it. We are not letting anything burn. The galaxy is burning itself down. We warned you this would happen for decades. You ignored us, you voted us out, now you want us to clean up your mess. But people are dying. The ambassador said. Yes, they are, the president replied. People have been dying for centuries while humans risked everything to save them. And what did we get for it? Criticism, complaints, accusations of being too violent, too dangerous, too unpredictable. The ambassador tried again, but this is different. This is an emergency. Every crisis is an emergency when you are not prepared for it, the president said. You had 3 centuries to learn how to work together. You chose to spend that time fighting each other and blaming humans for your problems. Meanwhile, in the Titan research facilities, human scientists were making breakthrough discoveries, new energy sources that could power entire star systems, advanced materials that could build ships in days instead of years, medical technologies that could heal wounds that had been considered fatal. Dr. Li Haiyanwu was leading a team working on terraforming technology. They had developed a system that could turn any planet into a human paradise in just 50 years. The technology was revolutionary, but it would never be shared with alien species. Look at what we can accomplish when we focus on ourselves, Li told his team. For centuries we were so busy helping others that we barely advanced our own technology. Now we are making discoveries that will change everything. The military situation was just as impressive. Human defense systems were advancing rapidly. New weapons that could destroy entire fleets, new shields that could protect whole star systems, new sensors that could detect threats from across the galaxy. Captain Han Min-su now commanded one of the new human warships. The technology was so advanced it felt like magic compared to the old ships he had served on. His tactical officer, Lieutenant Choi Nar-ah, reported a Vorthak fleet testing the borders of human space. They seem to be probing our defenses, she said. Han's response was immediate signal. The fleet, any hostile vessel that enters human space, will be destroyed without warning. We are not the galaxy's police force anymore. The Vorthak fleet received the message and withdrew quickly. They had heard rumors about new human weapons, but they were not ready to test them. The message was clear throughout the galaxy. Humanity was no longer interested in being anyone's protector. The galaxy was on its own. The final insult came when the Ethereals tried to claim that the galaxy crisis was actually humanity's fault. They argued that, by withdrawing, humans had created a power vacuum that encouraged aggression. Some species started to believe this. They said humans were being selfish and cruel by not helping. They claimed humans had a moral duty to protect weaker species. President Lim addressed this accusation directly in a speech to the Human Congress. For 3 centuries, we fulfilled our moral duty, she said. We protected the weak, we kept the peace, we sacrificed our own interests for the greater good. And what did we get for it? She continued. We got voted out of leadership, we got treated like dangerous children, we got blamed for every problem in the galaxy. Audience was silent, hanging on every word. Now they say we have a moral duty to save them again, the president said. But they have already told us they do not want our help. They have already decided they are better off without us. She paused and looked directly into the camera. So we are giving them exactly what they asked for. A galaxy without human interference. The applause was thunderous. Humans across the galaxy cheered. People who had spent their lives being criticized and undervalued finally felt vindicated. The galaxy had made its choice. Now it could live with the consequences, and for the first time in centuries, humanity was truly free to build its own future among the stars. 1 year after the withdrawal, the galaxy was in complete chaos. The Vorthic Empire controlled nearly a quarter of known space. Their war machine rolled forward like an unstoppable tide, crushing everything in its path. The plague in the Outer Rim had spread to 37 worlds. The death toll had reached billions. Without human medical knowledge, the alien species could only watch their people die. The galactic communication network had collapsed completely in some sectors. Entire regions were cut off from each other, unable to call for help or coordinate any response. Trade had stopped completely, leaving many worlds starving. The Galactic Council met in emergency session every day, but the meetings had become shouting matches. The Nexari blamed the Ethereals for the failed negotiations. The Ethereals blamed the Corvan for inadequate resources. The Corvan blamed the Zilani for not fighting hard enough. Everyone blamed everyone else, but no one had any solutions on Earth. Foreign Minister Park Soo-jin was drowning in diplomatic messages. Every day brought new requests for help. Each message was marked urgent or emergency or humanitarian crisis. Deputy Minister Lee Ruwan brought her a stack of official communications. 43 separate requests for assistance. She said everything from military help to medical aid to technology transfers. Park read through them, noting the same pattern. Each request offered humanity some kind of limited partnership or technical cooperation that would keep humans in a junior position while expecting them to solve all the problems. The most desperate message came from the Zilani Federation. Their remaining colonies were under siege by the Vorthic. Their ambassador Quintel had personally traveled to Earth to beg for help. We acknowledge our mistakes. The message read, we are willing to discuss new terms for human involvement. We understand now that we need human leadership. Park felt a moment of sympathy for the Zilani. They had always been more reasonable than the other species, but even they had voted to reduce human authority in the council. She drafted a simple reply. The Galactic Council has made its position clear. Humans are junior members without authority to make military decisions. We suggest you petition the senior members for assistance. President Lim called an emergency session of the Human Congress. Representatives from every human world gathered to debate the crisis. The discussion was intense but respectful. We could help, the Zilani argued. Representative Kim Tae-hyon from the Mars colony, they are genuinely admitting their mistakes. Maybe we could work with them, help them, and we will be right back where we started, countered Representative Sun Mi-young from New Seoul. Every other species will expect us to solve their problems while still treating us like children. The debate continued for hours. Each representative shared stories of human sacrifice and alien ingratitude, stories of human soldiers dying for alien causes, stories of human scientists working for free to cure alien diseases, stories of human diplomats being insulted while trying to keep the peace. The conclusion was inevitable. Humanity had given too much for too long. The galaxy had made its choice, and now it would live with the consequences. Meanwhile, human space was thriving beyond all expectations. Without the constant drain of supporting alien civilizations, humanity could focus all its resources on its own development. New Colonies were being established at record speed. The latest terraforming technology could turn dead worlds into gardens in just a few years. Advanced manufacturing systems could build entire cities in months. Scientific research was advancing at an incredible pace. Human scientists were making discoveries that would have taken centuries if they had been sharing everything with alien species. Dr. Li Haiyan-Wu announced a breakthrough in faster-than-light travel. The new drive system could cross the galaxy in days instead of months. It would revolutionize human expansion and exploration. Captain Han Min-soo now commanded a fleet of the new advanced warships. The technology was so far ahead of anything the aliens had that it seemed like magic. His ships could destroy entire fleets without taking damage. Lieutenant Choi Nar reported from the sensor station. Sir, we are detecting a large Vorthak fleet approaching the neutral zone. They appear to be testing our defenses again. Han's response was immediate and final. Signal the fleet. Any hostile vessel that enters human space will be destroyed without warning. We are not responsible for galactic security anymore. The Vorthak fleet received the message and withdrew quickly. They had heard rumors about human technological advances, but they were not ready to face them. The message spread throughout the galaxy. Humanity was no longer interested in being the galaxy's protector. Human space was off limits and humans were not coming to help anyone. The breaking point came when the Ethereals tried one last desperate gambit. They sent a delegation to Earth offering to make humans full senior members of the Galactic Council in exchange for immediate military assistance. A delegation was led by High Ethereal Luminar, the most respected leader of their species. She floated in the human council chamber, glowing with what she hoped was persuasive light. We have learned from our mistakes, she said through her translator. We understand now that humans deserve equal status. We are prepared to grant you full authority in galactic affairs. President Lim listened politely, then asked a simple question. How many human lives are you willing to sacrifice for galactic peace? The question caught the Ethereal off guard. She had not expected such a direct response. We would hope that casualties could be minimized, she said. The president smiled coldly. For 3 centuries, humans minimized casualties by taking them ourselves. Human soldiers died so alien civilians could live. Human scientists risked infection so alien populations could be cured. Human diplomats faced assassination so alien leaders could stay safe. The Ethereal shifted uncomfortably in the air. We appreciate those sacrifices, she said. Do you? The president asked. Because when we asked for equal representation, you voted us down. When we asked for respect, you called us dangerous. When we asked for partnership, you treated us like servants. The room was silent except for the soft humming of the Ethereal's groan. Now you want us back, the president continued, but only because you need us. You do not want us as equals. You want us as tools that you can use when convenient and discard when not. The Ethereal tried to speak, but the president was not finished. You had 3 centuries to treat us with respect. You chose to criticize us. Instead, you had 3 centuries to work with us as partners. You chose to vote us out instead. The president stood up and walked to the window overlooking the human city below. Now you face the consequences of your choices and you want us to save you from them, but why should we? The galaxy has made it clear that it does not want human leadership. It does not want human interference. It does not want human involvement. She turned back to the Ethereal delegation. So, we are giving you exactly what you asked for. A galaxy without humans. You wanted us gone. We are gone. You wanted to handle things yourselves. Go ahead and handle them. The Ethereal delegation left Earth empty-handed. Their last hope of human assistance had been rejected as their ship disappeared into space. President Lim felt a mixture of sadness and relief. Sadness for the billions of innocent aliens who would suffer because of their leaders' decisions. Relief that humanity was finally free from the burden of thankless service. The galaxy had made its choice. It was too late to fix it now. Human space continued to grow and prosper while the rest of the galaxy burned. And for the first time in centuries, humanity was building a future based on its own dreams instead of other people's needs. 2 years after the withdrawal, the galaxy had been completely transformed. The great map that had once shown 47 different species now showed only 3 major regions. The Vorthak Empire controlled half the galaxy. Their red banner flew over worlds that had been free for thousands of years. The Vorthak had brought order through conquest and fear. Their rule was harsh, but it was stable. The Free zones were scattered pockets of space where the surviving alien species fought desperately against the Vorthak or each other. These regions changed hands constantly as species rose and fell in endless cycles of war. And then there was human space, a growing sphere of blue on the galactic map that was peaceful, prosperous, and absolutely closed to alien involvement. The final meeting of the Galactic Council was held in a small room instead of the Great Crystal Chamber. Only 23 species sent representatives, and half of those were there to announce their surrender to the Vorthek Empire. The once mighty chamber that had buzzed with the voices of dozens of civilizations was now mostly empty. The crystal walls that had once glowed with the light of alien communications were dark and cold. Admiral Kim Dae-ho, now retired, but serving as special advisor for Galactic affairs, received the final message from the dying council. It was both a surrender and a playth message. Formally released humans from all obligations to galactic law. It also contained a desperate request for any assistance humanity might be willing to provide. Kim read the message to President Lim over a secure channel. "They are offering us full membership with senior status," he said, "complete freedom to run our own affairs and equal voice in whatever government might replace the council." The president's response was immediate and final. "Too little, too late," she said. "We are not interested in governing the galaxy. We just want to be left alone to build our own future on New Sol." Dr. Lee Hyun-woo was putting the finishing touches on humanity's greatest achievement. The complete terraforming system could transform any world into a perfect human habitat in just 50 years. The technology was revolutionary. It could control weather patterns, create ideal soil conditions, establish perfect ecosystems, and build infrastructure automatically. It was the key to unlimited human expansion, but it would never be shared with alien species. "The system is ready for deployment," Lee announced to the Human Science Council. "We can begin the Great Expansion immediately." Great Expansion was humanity's plan to spread across the galaxy, creating hundreds of new human worlds. Each world would be a paradise designed specifically for human life.